Hey everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and I'm back with another review. And actually, we're not starting with the review just yet. As you can see, this is Prime Wars Trilogy, Power of the Primes, Amazon exclusive Punch Counterpunch. And I'm sure as many of you know, there is an assembly error, allegedly. The reason I say allegedly is I've been able to transform this figure, and I really haven't noticed an issue. And let me show you. It has to do with the shoulders here. It has to do with how they come together. It's that blue bar right there. And while I'm holding this, let me introduce you to something I think every Transformer collector, every toy collector, every modeler should own. This is called a spudger. Spudgers are basically tools that are used to open iPhones and I think other cell phones to repair them. And what's nice about it is these are pry tools that are made of nylon or fiberglass or something like that, and they don't mar plastic. I have seen far too many videos in a short period of time of people doing this repair using screwdrivers and nail files. Metal on plastic will mar the plastic. We'll get into it in the video review proper, but Punch Counterpunch here might be a hard figure to get to, so you really don't want to destroy it. But anyway, the issue has to do with how this blue bar here was installed. Now, allow me to quickly transform. I've already done it on this arm. So, to go ahead and quickly transform it so you can see exactly what I am talking about. Don't worry, I will go over the transformation with you in the review proper. But a lot of it has, like I said, has to do right here with how the arm comes up, how it pegs in. Now, on this side, I haven't done it, and as you can see, for lack of a better word, it comes together fine. Just like that. Now, you may notice here that the forearm does not peg in as nicely as it should in the side. Also, and that would affect, but it stays, and I should tell you that it does come in once you bring around the rest of the folding of the car parts, but it stays, and really you can't really notice that it's sticking out. The bigger issue is the front here, and how parts really don't line up well. And I think part of that has to do with how this front end was put together. And allow me to just take things apart now, and I can show you this front lip being glued in like that. I think is slightly off and affects how the front comes together. Now, with all that said, I am going to go ahead and show you now how to do the fix. The best way, and this is the best way I figured out. Like I said, I've already done this arm. So we're going to go first, what I would suggest is popping the arm off the ball joint. And you can just do that. A little pressure, even pressure. You might have to move the shoulder pad part out of the way. Okay, this is not coming as easily as I thought. There we go. And yeah, you also want to be careful doing that multiple times because you can stress the plastic, which is something I am concerned about over time. So if you're going to do this, do it once, pop the arms off, pop them back on. Next, you want to take your spudger or some safe pry tool that will not mar the plastic, get in underneath that blue part of the head, and pry the chest open. You won't be able to pry it all the way, but it might help actually folding this out and pushing from the back. There you go. Now, what I would recommend, since I have fatter fingers, is what I found easier to do was to wedge the bar in like that, leaving open a space. And then coming in, and you can then pop off the hinge here. And basically, this is how it's installed. With the curved part up and the flat part down. Now, in this way, I notice that the arms come down very square to the chest normally. I guess that's wrong, because you have to then put it back in so this flat part with the angle goes up top. And you just slide it back in, like so, move the bar, and snap the chest shut. Let me just fold this back in, just like that, and reattach the arm, just like so. And one thing I should also mention while we're here, that the figure does come mistransformed out of the package. It's the shoulder pads. You just want to swing them down and around. And then using a little force, you do want to peg them into these angled orange tabs right there. But you might notice, at least on mine, there is a little stressing to the plastic. I've heard that's happening. And unfortunately, it has to do with how you're pressing these in. But that will hold into place. You, of course, can do whatever you want with your figure. Just with mine, I like to have it done, you know, I don't want to say properly, but maybe the way it was intended. But yeah, you just got to use a little force there, and hopefully, you know, the section won't break. But yep, now you have punch counterpunch assembled the way I guess it was intended. Hopefully it makes a difference for you. Like I said, it really didn't make much of a difference with mine. But we will now pause and get into the review proper. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's your old pal Chuck, and I am excited to bring to you today, from the Transformers Prime Wars Trilogy, the Power of the Primes subline. This is Amazon exclusive Punch Counterpunch. And I will say right now, this is the best Transformer figure of 2018. As you can see, we're starting out in its punch mode. This is a triple changer of sorts that it can go from punch to counterpunch to a vehicle. And I'll show you how to do that all lickety-split. As you can see, Punch does come with a weapon that is sort of a hybrid of the classic G1 weapons that the original figure had. Which, if you've never owned Punch Counterpunch, and I know a lot of people didn't because it came out towards the tail end of the Transformers lifespan, it really was a marvel of engineering back then. How you basically got two distinct robot modes out of one toy, and a shared vehicle mode. And what was even cooler is if you were lucky enough to be a member of the Transformers Collectors Club, you got to see some of the early prototypes that involved splitting the figure in half, turning it inside out, whole shebang. Punch Counterpunch does include a Prime Master Papoose, which it has no use for since it's not a combiner, but you can peg it into the back of each robot mode to use as a little jetpack. And it also comes with a redone Prima Prime. And yes, that is how it's pronounced. It is the first Prime. This one is done in clear blue with some, like a sea green blue with some silver accents. The normal version of the figure is only available as of right now in the San Diego Comic-Con opt, optimal Optimus Primal figure set with the scepter and all that. But that's neither here nor there. So let's take a closer look at Punch. First, I'll remove the gun here. As you've seen, in the beginning of this video, I did go ahead and do the fix to the arms. So you could tell that it has ball joints, swivel at the bicep, waist articulation, ball joint at the hips. There is a cut for a thigh swivel, but it's very tight. Nice bend at the knee. And the head is surprisingly on a ball joint. I was not expecting that. There is no wrist articulation. That has to do with the transformation to go between punch and counterpunch, which we'll get into right now. In fact, we'll start off with the hands. What you want to do is go ahead and fold them in. That will open up a panel here, and you will see that counterpunch's fist will flip out. It's a completely different fist, which I think is kind of cool. Let's straighten out the arms here. Next, what you want to do is come in here and unpeg the panels from the side and just bring them up and around and down on the shoulder like so. Do it again on this side. I do like that there's a lot of hinges and swivels there with those parts. Next, almost forgot, you want to flip down that, turn the car around, and flip up Counterpunch's Decepticon symbol, and then flip back the visor there, and here you have Counterpunch. Real simple, real nice. Basically, the elbows here are double jointed, so they can go in back and forth. Same thing with the knees, so he has the same articulation. Can definitely hold the gun just like so. So yeah, distinct look, and really do make sure you fold down that Autobot symbol, or else people will be like, he has an Autobot on the back. I really liked Counterpunch back in the day. I thought it was like getting two toys in one. Really fun, really cool. And I do want to mention that all the joints are tight. I'm sure you can see that. Just a fantastic figure. So we'll take a little pause right here, and then we'll go into car mode. Okay, I've just gone ahead and returned Counterpunch to a neutral position. You can leave the visor on Punch's face flipped down, since it would be exposed in vehicle mode, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. But one thing you do want to do, since it will be the bottom of the car, is you want to flip up the Autobot insignia, give yourself a little space. And while the instructions don't show this, I do find folding down the Decepticon insignia does make things a little bit easier. First thing you want to do is flip around the hands to bring them back out, to bring Punch's hands back out. Next, what you want to do is separate the shoulder panels, and you're going to just rotate them around and collapse them down like that. And just like so. Give yourself a little space here, angle the arms forward, open up the chest, and flip out the front of the car. And we'll turn the figure around now, just so you can see this a little better. You're going to collapse the arms up. The shoulders, basically that blue bar should be on an angle, and this forearm will peg into the side. At the same time, you want to, there are some tabs and slots for the front end here to tab into the middle section. We'll do that again on this side. There we go. And there you go. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the view during the repair part, this front end really doesn't line up all that well. In fact, I think well, actually, you know what? you know what I'm saying? There's missing silver paint right here that is lined up. It just, without it being there, it doesn't look right. Whatever. So, moving on. Let's come around. You want to, guess we'll do it from this side. Flip open the leg panels here. Flip down and out those panels. And the part with the glass will tab into this outside panel. Just, should do it naturally, but in case you might have to fiddle with things. Would then suggest attaching the legs. They do attach at the knee joint there. Rotate this all around. Ow. You just missed. I just pinched myself there. Be careful with your toys. And then just go ahead and close things up. Squeeze it all together. Give it a nice, loving Transformers squeeze. Just like that. Everything should be together. Yes? Yes? Do we have a toy? Do we have a figure? Yeah, And there we go. There is Counterpunch in its vehicle mode. Bring this down a little. And nice little feature. Come in underneath. Right there's a little tab. There's a slot here on the gun. And I was not expecting this. I am over the moon about it, because these little things do make me happy. You have weapon storage. So this is a long time coming self-contained toy. I love it. You do have some posts on here on the rear end if you want to stick Prime on. You can, of course, then add on the Prime Master papoose. I will not be using these. I might use this as a jetpack once in a while, but realistically, those bits are going to be left in the box. This is a cool looking car. It is very unique. The transformation is fantastic. I love the legs. I love how they form that shell and come together. The bits with the shoulders are nice, how everything rotates around and collapses down. Just want to make sure you have everything lined up properly. But yeah, rolls, and it's just fantastic. I've heard this described as some form of Pontiac. I'm not sure. I'm not really that far up on my cars, but it's cool looking, and it's nondescript, which is kind of important for a spy. So we'll pause, and I'll give you my final thoughts. Some review ago, I had said that Action Toys Machine Robo DX Bike Robo was the figure of the year. Since then, in hearing about Punch Counterpunch, I was really under the impression that this figure was going to come out and overtake that figure as figure of the year. Unfortunately, due to the assembly issues, I can't do that. This is the best Transformer figure of 2018, but DX Bike Robo is still figure of the year. This, though, is very close. If it was assembled right, which again, I'm not 100% sure if it is or isn't, but I have to factor that in. And maybe if they offered some sort of transforming gun that you would have a unique gun for each mode, that might have pushed it up. But as it is, this is a fantastic figure. Now, let's talk about something I mentioned during the repair part of the video. From what I understand, conversing with Amazon, they oversold pre-orders on this figure. I was originally supposed to get my figure tomorrow. Some people were getting theirs as early, I should say tomorrow, meaning Wednesday. Some people were getting their figures as early as the 14th and 15th, which is when the figure was released. Even though I paid one-day shipping, mine was delayed, and it's because of the overselling of pre-orders. As of this recording, Amazon is out of stock of the figure. I do not know if they will get more or have enough or get enough to satiate demand. Some collectors, and this I kind of have an issue with, are looking to get 2 or more to have a punch on with their Autobot display and a Counterpunch with their Decepticon display. Frankly, I think people need to be a little understanding and realize that this figure is in high demand and there's not enough to go around. That's why I stressed using a spudger to open up the chest, and being gentle with the ball joints and what have you, because this thing breaks, you may not be able to replace it. If Amazon does get it in, it was retailing for $24.99. I think that's money well spent. I would have liked to have seen this as a regular retail release figure, but I can sort of almost not quite understand why it wasn't. But regardless, it's worth a purchase. Please don't pay an internet markup. But definitely, if you can, get your hands on Punch Counterpunch. This is your old pal Chuck for Punch and Counterpunch. We will see you next time. Also, as a disclaimer, no Legacy Megazords were used in the filming of this review. Have a good day.